And welcome everyone to the Beautiful Butterfly Show. I'm your host, B.Fly. I want to say happy Thursday to you guys out there. Hope that you are having a fantastic day and have had a fantastic week. We know a lot is going on, but guess what? We got to keep on pressing through each and every day, you guys. And so I'm excited. I'm always excited when I have somebody on the show that I personally know. And so tonight I'm excited to introduce you guys to just a phenomenal person. I've known her for years. I ain't gonna tell y'all how many years because we ain't gonna show our age. But we've known each other for years, and so I'm excited to see her out here sharing her gift of voice and talent with you guys. I'm talking about no other than Melodi Royale, you guys. She's going to be coming on. So as I asked you guys, make sure you share the show tonight. You never know what could be shared through this show tonight that could empower, uplift, and encourage somebody this evening. And that's what we're all about over here on the Beautiful Butterfly Show. So we're not going to delay any longer. We're going to bring our special guest of the hour on here. Melodi, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
How are you doing?
I am wonderful. I'm wonderful. How are you doing?
I am doing fantastic. It's good to see you. I know it's been a while. I was hoping we could do this thing face to face, but we got to keep it moving.
I know it.
Absolutely. And so for the first people out here, this may be their first time seeing your pretty face and learning about you. Tell us a little bit about who is Melodi Royale.
All right. Got my merch on. But Melodi Royale is a country girl. I grew up, raised in Asheville, North Carolina. Yeah. Went to, regular school districts, all that. I'd say my childhood was just a little bit more special because, I had so much love around me. My mom, my grandma, and my grandmother actually was in a music band, a chorus group, church group, and then she went solo. So I grew up watching her sing and people just fall in love with her voice and her voice just changing people's lives. So that's a little bit, what I did and what I went through.
Yeah. Awesome. And so, and hearing, your grandmother singing, and impacting people, is that something that inspired you to want to sing and share that love and that passion with other people?
Absolutely. I remember me and my uncle used to act out my grandmother and her husband, because he was the piano man.
Yeah.
And, Eddie Edgerton. We used to act out every day, in our basement, what they would do. We would mimic. Yeah. He would mimic him on the piano and I would mimic her singing. And it just made us feel like we was a part of it. And, when we saw it, it made us more engaged because it was like, wow, it was impactful. Like,
right.
To this day, I can just close my eyes and I can see her, just have the whole church silent.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's one of the things I think a lot of us miss when it comes to music in general, is having those people that really touch your heart and your soul through their music, and they didn't have to put on a lot of the glitz and glam. They just sang from their heart, and was passionate about what they were doing. And so coming up in the household, not only listening to your grandmother sing, but who were some people or artists that you guys kind of played, within the household that you remember growing up listening to?
Oh, man. Gosh, I was obsessed with Michael Jackson for a very long time. I just pictured myself screaming and falling over like them girls that you always saw. A lot of the heavy hitters, Whitney Houston.
Yeah.
Man, that's a hard one. But just a lot of the heavy hitters is what I, on the singing side is what I used to listen to. But I'm such a musical person. I have listened to everything, I listen to Bach, I listen to Mozart. So my ear just catches, whatever sounds good to me.
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely, and that's the great thing about music. Has a way of making us feel good, uplifting us out of those dark moments, and making us feel good through about life and what we're experiencing. And so I wanted to ask you when it comes to the music, because when you and I had our one-on-one a couple months back, we talked about how Melody used to sing all the time, all the time. And so, of course, you kind of, took a break from things. And so during that process of kind of, putting singing, on hold, so to speak, what did you learn about yourself? Not only as a songstress, but, as a woman in general?
When I took that moment, to stop doing music, it was, I having kids and all that stuff. And it just made me find my joy for music again.
Yeah.
I remember singing to my belly when I was pregnant, anytime I was going through something that I felt like I couldn't get myself out of, I sung my way, through it. So it just made me, realize how even if I didn't choose that as a career, it was still a part of my everyday life. When I'm happy, I love to sing. When I'm sad, I love to sing.
Yeah.
When I'm feeling joy, I love to sing. So it's my expression. My number one go-to expression is my voice, the melody that comes out.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of melody, I know a lot of people out here are wondering, where did the name come from? Melodi Royale. So, give us a back scoop. Where did the name Melodi Royale come from?
My husband's, well, first of all, I had a team of intelligent Black women that I knew, that we all tried very hard to come up with a name, because I'm a picky person. And so, we went through tons of things. I was just like, well, I might as well just stick with my name. But I kind of went outside the group because, everybody thinks differently. And I asked my husband's cousin, Kanisha, at a cookout we went to, and I just threw it out. I said, what kind of name would you put with me, but just add a little bit of melody to it? And then I walked off, and she came back to me and she was like, boom, this your name right here. She had the spelling, she had it written out, and I was like, I love that. You know what I'm saying? I knew that I wanted melody a part of my name because I wanted people to know that besides all the glitz and glamour and everything else you got to do as a part of the music business, I want it to mainly be about the music.
Yeah.
The melody that you hear and what reaches to you, what reaches to your heart.
Yeah. And so when it comes to the music that you have written, and we'll be hearing Crystal Melody's new single here later on in the show, but what was the thing that molded you to create a sound that we were missing? Because when I first listened to it, I told you it took me back. It took me back, to those 80s, 90s feel good music that we used to listen to. And so, now what we hear, is a little different, than what we were once exposed to. And so what made you decide to bring, that love and that passion and that feel good, back to people?
Well, I just try to tap into the line of music that I don't really see much of.
Yeah.
And, it's a million people rapping out there, and it's a lot of up and coming rappers,
Right.
a million people that sing, and a lot of the singers, everybody hitting high notes, everybody screaming at you, everybody got so many lyrics that, you in there like, with the music. So I just said, why not slow it down?
Mm-hmm.
Why not give it a nice little, mellow tone, and reach a different audience that's not looking for that. You know what I'm saying? I listen to everything. I listen to all the stuff that I just said, but I know there's an audience of people who are looking for something else, what really touched my heart is when I played my song for a preacher and his wife. And they were, grooving and feeling a little different about my song. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm actually doing something here,
Right.
because it's you can reach church folks, and you can reach people that's, living their everyday life. So,
Absolutely.
I really try to do my research before I came out with my music to pick, the genre that I wanted to go in, which is neo soul and R&B.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, absolutely. And speaking of that genre, and I know you listen to a lot of people, but who are some of your favorite neo soul artists?
Oh gosh, I love Erykah Badu.
Yeah.
That's number one. I always used to mimic her songs. Jill Scott, absolutely love her.
Absolutely.
Her, her, the new artists that, kind of brought the attention to my eyes, like, okay, there are people out there looking for this type of music.
Absolutely.
And then Ari Lennox, I mean, I absolutely love her.
Yeah.
I love her style. I love her rawness. And I love the fact that she doesn't have to have a traditional song, and people like it. And so they've already let me know that that's an era that people are looking for.
Yeah.
They're very successful.
Yeah, absolutely. 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 And, speaking of success, a lot of times people come into the music business with these great ambitions of, taking off, being super successful. And so we talked about, early on, you had your experiences of dealing with producers and people out here in the business. And so you learned very early on how things went. And so talk a little bit about that, about, how early on you learned about what this music industry can really be about.
Boy, I learned immediately. Just because people are not as invested in your dreams as you are. And so, trying to get people to help you is like pulling teeth. I'm super impatient. And I also had to learn to let go of, wanting to be perfect all the time.
Right.
So I learned just, taking a stride. I'm not one to press for something and give up because I don't have help. Mm-hmm. I'll be 10 people, 30 people if I need to make it happen. But I'm not looking for, to be super mainstream,
Yeah.
So I definitely learned that I only deal with the people who are serious and who are being professional.
Absolutely.
I give you about 2 chances, and then I move on to the next, because it's so many people out here that's working in this field that are serious about it, and so I can pick it out real quick. If you're serious about it, then hey, we can definitely work together. But if you're not, you keep on doing you, and I'm gonna move on to the next situation so I can prevail and keep going where I need to go.
Absolutely. And speaking of working, when you decided to get out here and actually share your music with other people and decided, when was that moment that you decided that you wanted people to hear? Because I know you probably got 1,000 songs written somewhere. But when was that moment you decided, you know what, I want to get this out here, streaming, airwaves, you name it. How was that process for you?
Wow, I used to be super timid, super closed in. I don't like people to know my personal life and none of that stuff. You see what you see when you out, and I'll come back here and do my own thing. But I really feel like after me and my husband had a really bad car wreck. It just changed me mentally. Like,
Yeah.
My husband decided that he wanted to invest in my music, and ever since then, that's just been a go. I think to myself sometimes, like, this is not something that you would do. And then I'd be like, well, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and do it. I got so many talents that I have never tapped into. I've just been holding it in, trying to help other people, and they never wanted my help. So now I'm using my talents to help myself and to get myself where I need to be at.
Absolutely. And it's interesting how often we pour more into others than we pour into ourselves. And sometimes the more we pour into others, we realize, well, nobody's pouring into me. Like I'm out here, when is it going to be my turn to receive that support? And speaking of your husband and him being supportive, wanting to invest in your dreams, let's talk about that a little bit. What is it like, to have a supportive spouse who's, saying, hey, baby, we in this for the long haul? What is that experience like for you?
It is amazing.
Yeah.
I've always had dreams of what my husband would be like,
yeah,
or who would be in my corner, but I never expected. He has more faith in things that I'm like, He's like, no, you can do it. I know you can do it. You know what I'm saying? And I do it, and I'd be like, wow, if it wasn't for him pushing me and believing in me, I may have never even thought about, doing this.
Yeah.
And so it's changed my life.
Yeah.
It's changed my daughter's life because now she sees, something different. She knows what to look for. And she knows that when somebody truly loves you, what it looks like.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is something, our girls need more of, know what real love looks like, and what consistency and faithfulness and all of those things look like. Because sometimes, unfortunately, the image that they get on social media just ain't it. It's just not there. And so how important is it also that, she's able to see the process of her mom, going through all of these different things, from performing to, even designing your own outfits. What is it like to see her, create melody in the making, so to speak?
I think she's super excited. I think just like I did, she kind of stepped back every moment, like, wow, my mama really doing this.
Yeah.
Like she said it, and she really doing it. She's really serious.
Yeah.
I know it's one thing to say you're going to do something in everyday life. She knows when I say something, I'm going to do it. But to, pursue your dream and, to say, one day I was just like, I'm going to make this dress. Yeah. And she like, Mama, you don't sew? I was like, well, I'm about to buy it because I'm about to channel my mom, and I'm about to do it by hand because that's what I wanted. I want it done, and I don't know who to go to, and I don't know if somebody's reliable. So she's been super excited. I think it's really been making her think more long term about what type of dream that she actually wants to do.
Right.
And she's been super, super supportive. She's been there helping me, helping me with dance moves and helping me stay on top of stuff and let me know, what's hot, what's not, she helps me with my Instagram stuff. So, and I love that because she's young and she knows what it is to be in that genre, because I don't know.
Yeah.
It's definitely different nowadays. So she be doing a lot of stuff.
Absolutely. I mean, we grew up in the days of none of this. None of this. So, to have somebody, of that, teenage era who's able to say, look, this is how you work this. And then they're your best influencers. That's because they know everything. They know what's out here. So it's great. And one of the things I heard you mention is channeling your mom. And so we talked about, what a unique relationship you had with your mom. And so with your music and all that you're doing, Do you have those moments where you channel your mom and you can hear your mom rooting for you?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
My mom, she's heard so many songs that I wrote, that I, recorded, never did anything with.
Yeah.
And she was always supportive then. My mom was proud of me and supportive, when I just had a regular job.
Yeah.
So I know she's like, oh my God, my daughter is really doing what I know that she can do.
Yeah.
She's always was my number one supportive.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I hear. You're right. I always hear, like, you can do this, you got this,
Yeah.
and especially when I'm like, I'm not sure if this is something that I can actually do.
Yeah.
And she's like, but I taught you this.
Yeah.
You've watched me do it every day. You can do this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it just, I just sit back and, I channel her, I talk to her, and I make it happen. And then, at the end, I'm just like, wow, my mom taught me so much. And I kind of feel like if she was still here, I may not have tapped into the things that she has taught me, because she taught me to death.
Yeah.
I have to do some of this stuff. Never did my hair. That was a whole ball game, but I can do it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it, life teaches you lessons that you don't want to learn, but you need to.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it's great that you said, had she still been here, you might have not been able to tap into certain things, because a lot of times, like you said, when we have those parents who are just super, involved and supportive, they just, they take over. So you're just used to, sitting back. But we learn to appreciate and value, the time. As I know you have, the time that you did have with your mom, and all of that. So that's the great thing that comes out of that.
Yeah.
So. Absolutely. And so, of course, tonight, we're talking about your new single, entitled Velvet Love. And so I'm telling you guys, I don't know how many times I play this song. My daughter be like, Mama, are you gonna play something else? Like, I'm like, just, but since the moment I heard it, like, I told Melody, like, this is a banger. This is, as a kid say, this is lit, all of that great stuff. And how did we get to Velvet Love? First of all, where did the title come from?
The title actually came after I wrote the song. Okay. Just because I kept listening to it, and I'm not a literal person. I didn't want the song to just, be one of the lyrics or the chorus in the song. That's too literal for me. Yeah. So I just had to just listen to it a couple of times myself and just kind of feel, what does this song make me feel?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's so smooth, it made me think of velvet. So I was like, okay, if I'm gonna put velvet in there, then what else am I gonna call? I'm just gonna call it velvet, Yeah. So I added love on the end, and I just was like, okay, this is perfect, because move, and it's about love. Mm-hmm. So it's Velvet Love. Velvet is smooth, it's nice to the touch, it makes you close your eyes when you feel it, and that's what I want the song to make you feel.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what was the inspiration behind this song? What kind of headspace were you in? Where were you at? What were you doing when you came up with this song?
Oh man, it is gonna blow your mind, because it always blows my husband's mind. But I just have an ear for certain sounds, and it took me all of maybe 5 seconds. I'll say a full 5 minutes to completely write that song out.
Wow.
Wow. When I hear beats, certain beats, there's already a song there.
Yeah.
And it comes to me immediately. And I have my little recorder that I use, and I immediately start recording. Now, I might go back in and replace some words that didn't really sound right at the time, But I just said anything to just get the melody of the song in there. And then I go back in there and I rearrange it. But the chorus came to me first, and it came to me so quick, and I was like, "Oh my God, I love this myself."
Yeah,
I had other songs that were supposed to come out before this one, and I told my husband, "I was like, no, this is it. This one has to come out first because I love the way it sounds to me. So no other people are going to gravitate to it." That's how that one started.
Yeah. And when it comes to Velvet Love, because I know for me, it takes you to that moment, when you're feeling the bliss of being in love, being with your man. And so it look, ladies, it'll get you caught up, take you back down memory lane. Don't go too far back though. You might get in trouble. But it's just an amazing song. And so what was your husband's expression when he first heard the song? Like, what was his first thoughts when he first heard it completely?
He was like, "This is it. This is it." And he started thinking like, "This song makes me feel like somebody." He started explaining to me what the song made him feel. It made him feel sensual. It made him feel like he can't get enough of somebody. And I was like, and that's what I wanted to make you feel.
Yeah.
And it just, not always when I'm talking, people understand what I'm saying. So for me to make a song and immediately, everybody we played it for, because I have some people that are not necessarily on my team, but I know they are 1,000% honest all the time, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
And, those are the people I went to listen to my song first, because I wanted some honest opinions. I didn't want a whole bunch of head nods and like, "Oh, sound good." I wanted to get technical with me, like, "Oh no, this not it," or something. And they knew what I was going for. They're like, "Oh, this is neo soul. Oh, this is real smooth. This makes me feel some kind of way." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's coming across as what I wanted to do." So that's all I needed right there.
Absolutely. And and one of the things that we talked about previously was support, and the support that you can and cannot get sometimes from people. And so throughout this process, what have you learned about support, and what does support look like for you?
Woo, girl. I ain't gonna put nobody out there. Just support to me just means just being honest.
Yeah.
I am not a vindictive person, and I'm very, very literal when it comes to my business.
Right.
And I think, some people jump into stuff and they like, "Oh, it's just some hood stuff." They're not really serious. I'm really serious, and I'm very particular. So if you're going to work with me, say what you're going to do. We're going to communicate. If it's not going to work, or if something comes up, let me know. That's what business people do. But just to leave me dry and not answer my phone calls and do all that stuff, it just it kind of puts a damper on my spirit. And I try, and so I can continue to look forward to the future. So I just push that stuff to the side. Like I said, I know twice, within, conversations, within, all type of situations, if people are going to be serious or not. So, and then, too, I go to my husband because he knows a lot of people, has a lot of friends, and he's really great at networking. So, he always knows who, who's the go-to person, who's not the go-to person. Family too. And so that's why that's my manager, because that aspect of the stuff I can't really deal with and do the music.
Absolutely. And it's always good to have people who have your best interest at heart. And like I said, a lot of times we'll find that people that we expected to support us don't support us in that way. And so, but I've also found that it's just motivation to keep going, doing what you need to do. And it teaches people a lesson about professionalism, about, when people come to you with their dreams or goal in hand, we should treat it as such, out here in this business. And so when you got the music together, who did you decide that you wanted to help you produce this? Who was that person that you said, you know what, this is the person I'm going to go to get this music out here?
Finding producers in Asheville is kind of hard. A lot of them got studios that they just have to show. They're not really in the studio, or they don't show up for the times.
Right.
Actually had to go through a friend of my husband, and got in touch with his name Terry, and that's who I worked with to do my first song. Okay. And it was weird because I knew him from church.
Yeah.
And I seen him around town, and I knew that he did, different types of instruments, but I never knew that he was a producer. So, that aspect of it made me feel really comfortable because, I've heard his work and I know that he's a singer. So, he can get me on pitch if I'm off pitch. He can tell me, what was up. And that was my first time in the studio. So I was expecting a whole lot of critiques. Like, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'll be like, you need to fix this. You need to do that. You need to do that. And he was like, you know what you're doing. And I was like, I do? Okay, tell me that now. Because can't nobody tell me nothing afterwards. But it was definitely a reassurance that I knew what I was doing as far as the recording part goes, and how I wanted the song laid out. But he just made it really easy for me to be comfortable, and he did it at my house. So he had a traveling studio. So it was just really perfect and a nice surrounding for me to just, that's why it came out the way it did. I really do feel like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's one of the greatest things is when we connect people who truly get us and where we're trying to go, and they see the vision and they're invested in what we're doing. It's amazing the greatness that can come out of that. And so when people hear this song, that they definitely see that. And so I do have a couple more questions, but I do want people to be able to hear this song. You guys, you're going to want to put it on repeat. I'm telling you right now, go ahead, stream it, do what you got to do. But of course, you'll be sharing it with us tonight. And so I'm going to let you introduce your single to the folks out here.
All right, everybody. Right now, you are about to listen to my single right now, Velvet Love. Real smooth, real jazzy. Check it out.
All right.
My love for you. You got my love on repeat, repeat, repeat. Will you never get tired of my love? Boy, get weak, get me tired of my love. You can't, you play, but we play the same game. I told you I'm tired, but you say you need it over and over again. So baby, turn me on tonight. I'll be whatever your heart desires. I'm here to please you. And baby, I might just your life. You got my love. Ooh, I am and boy, I'll bring it to your knees. Oh, you never get tired of my love. Drive me crazy. Arching my back, I for you. Legs up in the air, and I don't care. Pleasing you. Legs up in the air, and I don't care. As long as I'm pleasing you. Yes, streaming on all platforms.
Listen, I was trying not to sing while I'm over here. I'm like, don't sing. Don't sing, girl. Don't sing.
That's all right. That's all right. Sing.
But I absolutely love it because which I'm pretty sure you're familiar. Like it just took me back to groups such as like Moke and Steph, SWV, even some Sade, just to get your soul going. And so I just love the way it all came together. And it's sensual, it's sexy, it's not, where anybody should be clutching their pearls, we all know. But just an absolutely beautiful song. And so what was that moment like when you heard your voice? Once this was completed and you heard how it came out, what was that moment like for you to hear, like, that's my song?
Oh man, it was amazing. Yeah. It was amazing because I don't know if people, a lot of people don't know about music, but I'm doing a lot of ad-libs and I'm doing like 3 different vocals on there. So in my mind, I'm thinking about all the stuff that I want on the song and not necessarily knowing how it's going to mold together. So to hear the blended sound of myself doing myself, like, it's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah. And once I heard that, my brain just went everywhere. I was like, oh, I got to write this. I got to write this. I got like 3 books that I'll be writing music in just periodically. It was great because I didn't necessarily know if I was going to like my own music.
Yeah. So. Absolutely. And so, excuse me, we do have a few questions from people who are listening to the show. And so one of our first questions comes from Destiny. She wants to know what keeps you motivated to write. She says, sometimes, the music industry can have you feeling all kinds of feelings. How do you stay motivated?
My mom keeps me motivated mentally. Yoga helps a lot to, flush out the bad stuff, get in good vibes. And, just the fact that I don't want to fail, I didn't get into this to continue to keep pushing forward. And I was talking to a friend the other day and I was telling her that, another reason why I do this is because if I do happen to go mainstream or become famous, there are so many people that I love that I want to take with me, that I want to live better lives. Mm-hmm. And so I'm doing this for my family and I'm doing it for them,
Yeah. Absolutely. This one comes from Erica from Florida. She wants to know, is it challenging to get out here and put out your music without being skeptical of people criticizing it so much?
Yes.
Yeah.
I am actually surprised at the good conversations that's been going on about my song. I automatically assume nobody was nobody. And so the love I've been getting has really gave me so much more momentum to keep pushing forward as well. And I am like mentally waiting for that song where everybody's like, nah, she should have just scratched that one and did. But because I'm always my worst critic, but it hasn't happened. But I'm always looking forward because I'm doing music for people. You know what I'm saying? Right. I'm not necessarily doing it for myself. So I want everybody to, not everybody, but the people to love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. When it comes to this industry, because I know we probably will have, we have people tuning in and people who will listen to the replay. Mm-hmm. What do you say to that young woman out there, or that mature woman out here who, may have took a pause on her dreams and now she's, wanting to get back out there? What would be your words of advice to them?
My words of advice to them would be, take that step back, recalibrate, get your mind together, come up with a plan, and start with small goals. Once you start with small goals that you can achieve, within a 2 weeks, months time, it'll give you more courage to push forward to harder goals.
Yeah.
To actually achieve, that really big dream. I think some people just go out there and go straight forward. And that's how they get shut down. It's steps to it. It's steps to the process. So, but always make sure you take care of yourself.
Absolutely.
Make sure you take care of yourself. Make sure you're loving yourself, because your dreams can't happen if you're not healthy, mentally and physically.
Yeah, absolutely. And I already know, I think I already know one of the answers to this question, but when you're not singing and writing, what are you doing? I'm just gonna say it. I'm just Melody works out more than anybody I know. You know what I'm saying? And it should motivate me. And I think it has in some ways, but I'm telling you, every time I look, she is walking, she's at the gym, and I'm just like, I'm exhausted watching her myself. And so when we talked months ago, she talked about, some of the changes you made, even through your whole household. Like everybody's eating healthy. We're not about to be out here in these streets, just wilding out on crazy food and stuff.
Yep, that's right.
So talk to us about some of those changes that you've made, to change things up a little bit.
Shaking his head like, again, back to my mom. When my mom passed away, it just, when life teaches me lessons, I listen to them and I take them wholeheartedly. And my mom had cancer, and I learned about all the foods that, gives cancer life. And, I just started learning about so much stuff. And once my mom passed away, I just said to myself, I never was in a household where we was eating healthy or working out. We had country food and, we played games and we had a good time. So I just felt like, and once I started making that journey, I realized I would dial back, when it came to my family, because I'm the one cooking the meals, and then I stick my finger and I'm like, that tastes good. Well, maybe I'm gonna break my diet tonight,
right?
Because my food is back again, and back on my diet tomorrow, but it wasn't working like that. And, and I started realizing my husband was having some type of, some health issues. And, my daughter, I just started thinking about myself at that age. I wish somebody would have showed me what to do so I could have been on a healthier track, and she has a gorgeous body. And I'm like, baby, you can lose that. You eat too much of the wrong thing. You do too much of the wrong thing. And the thing that you love the most will be gone. And it's hard to get it back if you ever get it back. It might come back in a different way. So I just chose that time to just be like, I'm going to just choose health for everybody. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I just slowly started doing a lot of research and changing out, my meats for healthier meats, switching over from butter to avocado oils and, putting more vegetables in with our meals, not doing so much canned stuff, more fresh stuff. And, I started seeing a difference in how I was feeling, how he was feeling, how the kids was feeling. And I was like, okay, it has to be something good. And that was a decision that I made before all this Corona stuff started, and so that just made me beef it up a little bit more, because I'm like, your body is already prepared with everything you need to pretty much fight off everything. And it's just how you treat your body, whether your body performs for you or not. And so it just made me just really start getting on it. And, I learned, in the process, you don't have to work out every single day. You don't have to go running every single day. It's the workouts that you do that matter, So now I'm more in the technical side of workouts. I'm actually trying to get to a point where I can do videos for my friends, for my families, because they always asking me like, girl, what you doing? What you doing? Yeah. And then some of them have come with me to work out. Look, and I apologize if they're watching. I apologize for running off. When I see a smaller person and they say they want to work out with me, I'm like, oh, okay, I don't want to have a weak workout. So I do it. And then they like, we ain't coming back. Too much. You're doing too much. My back hurt, my legs hurt. I'm like, it's supposed to hurt, but
we can't walk the next day.
So, I'm learning to dial it down, and I'm learning how to, I want to be able to create certain workouts for, different body types for women, because, when you're on the heavier side, it's not many workouts that people actually make prominent that it's easier for you. Like, I got a bad knee, so a lot of stuff I don't do with knee workouts because my knee will not let me be great. Right. So I want people to know, like, that's stuff that you can still do. When my knee hurt, I swear I really want to just sit down. Yeah. And then, my husband's like, well, you can't reach your goal if you sit down. And so I'm like, nope, I'm gonna do floor workouts since I can't get up on my knee today. I'm gonna do something. Yeah. So that's where my mentality has been. And I want to help other people, you know what I'm saying? Because I've actually started to figure out some stuff that works.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Look, I might have to jump in that inbox, y'all. Y'all might not see me on the screen for a while because her girlfriend puts in work. That's all I got to say. But in those moments, because of course we have those high and low moments of life, and so in those moments that may be low moments, how do you motivate yourself? How do you keep yourself encouraged?
Oh wow. God is my number one encourager. Whenever I'm feeling down or feeling secluded or feeling like people don't understand me, the first thing I do is I go for a long walk, where I can see nature and see the art that God has created. And I just talk to him and I just tell him what I'm going through. And by the end of my walk, I feel better. my mind starts to change and I start thinking about the next thing that I can do.
Yeah.
If it's somebody letting me down, I just, I pray for them. And I say, Lord, I love this person, but I can no longer let them keep me down from where I need to go. And so I'm going to have to love them from a distance.
Absolutely.
And I keep on going. Meditation, and I'm telling you, yoga. I set the mood. I wait till my family's not home. I set the mood. I light my candles. I light my incense. And I just kind of just get in tune with my body and my mind. That's how I stay, out of that negative space. And it's not an easy, it's not easy. I have my moments, but what I don't do, or I try my best not to do, is let my moments trickle on to someone else. Once you start spreading your demons around, then you got a house full of angry people. So I try to, fix that problem within myself, so I can get back to my normal life.
Absolutely. I love it. Absolutely love it. And one of the things that I've asked my guests is the pandemic has brought out things in us that we never thought it would, and kind of delayed certain things. And so in the process of this pandemic, what have you learned about yourself during this time that maybe you didn't tap into beforehand? What did you learn about yourself?
I just became more accountable.
Yeah.
Especially for my health.
Yeah.
I want everybody else to be so healthy, but sometimes I have setbacks that other people don't know about.
Yeah.
And so I was like, no, you can't keep doing that. You got to really be on it.
Yeah.
It made me appreciate my family. We done been locked up in the house for almost a year's time. And I wasn't ready to scream, run away, pull my hair out, fight nobody.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, I have an amazing family. Because I don't really know if everybody was feeling that great about their family being stuck up in the house for so long. If anything, they probably got tired of me because every day I tried to find something else to do in the house. We was fixing stuff and making stuff. That was hiding from me in here.
Yes.
I was enjoying it.
Yes.
It just, I knew that I might not ever get a chance to spend this much time with my family again. Because everybody's life is always so busy.
So busy. Yeah.
So that, that is, that's what I did. I spent on my family. I fixed the meals that, that they know they ain't supposed to be eating. We just all loved and spoiled each other and learned more about each other. And it was good. It was good.
Yeah. And that's one of the great things I love to hear, because a lot of people, and I'm kind of like you, I enjoyed the time. We did science experiments. We went outside, did some grounding. My daughter had me doing yoga in the mornings, and
there we go.
Going out, feeling the sun. And I tell people, as people walk by, they're kind of looking at us laying in the grass like, what are they doing? But it just brought out different things, and you learned more than anything, like you said, to value the time that you have with people, because, on a normal day-to-day basis, you're going to work, he's going to work, children are at school, extra, sports, all this type of stuff. Yep. So your time as a family is actually limited, when things are back in gear. So I'm definitely with you on appreciating that as well. And so what is going to be, I know the folks have heard Velvet Love, and so we want some more. So what is that next anticipated single that you guys are planning on releasing?
before we get to the next song, my music video for Velvet Love is going to be coming out soon.
Wonderful.
I really went all out. That was why I made the dress. I
Yes.
actually dance scene that I had a girl named Maya help me with the choreography for it.
Yeah.
And so major moments, big
Okay.
shout out to them, very professional people. They came and did it. So my next single, hopefully quarantine doesn't shut things back down.
Right.
And I will be performing at Goombay on that Saturday.
Wonderful.
The second song that I perform will be my new song.
Okay.
Fantasy Love is the
Okay.
next. When I'm done with the album, it's going to be different shades of love.
Wonderful.
Because people think of love as one thing, but there's different sides to love. And so that's what we're going to do with that first one. So around September the 3rd is when that first one's going to be out. It's going to be on my website and for people to check out and see what it's like. It's a different groove than this first one. So I'm curious to see how the public reacts to it.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So you guys definitely be on the lookout for that. And so when it's all said and done, what have you taken away from this process of writing, getting with producers, choreography? If you guys saw some of the behind the scenes, baby, she took me back to Janet when Janet was getting ready for a performance and she had her knee pads on. She was, she was ready. And so, what has this whole journey thus far being like for you?
It's been amazing. It has been tiring.
Yeah.
It has been eye-opening.
Yeah.
But it's been motivational because, the stuff that I've already come across, a lot of people would not have survived.
Yeah.
Yeah. And some of the things that I'm doing now at an early stage, a lot of people wouldn't even attempt. But I know that I can do it, and I'm just tired of being scared of what I can do.
Absolutely.
So, it's feet to the ground running from here on out,
Absolutely love it. And so who are some people that you wanted to thank for helping step and stand by you through this process?
Well, first of all, I definitely want to thank my husband. He has been my number one supporter. When I do have my moments where I'm crying, he is there, and he picks me right back up, dusts my shoulder off, and then I'm right back, where I need to be at. My daughter, she's definitely been super, super supportive. My son, my 7-year-old son, has been ecstatic that his mom is on YouTube. And he thinks I'm famous already. So that right there is, I feel like a superstar right now already. But Gene, I don't know if you know Gene. He works with big time printers. He's been a very big supportive person. Him and Tracy, is it Healing Skin and Candles? And I'm telling you, this stuff right here is absolutely amazing. You definitely got to try it. It's like a better version of cocoa butter. It smells wonderful. It makes you shine. But those two people are very businessy type people, but they were one of the number one people that helped me and my husband when we were in our car accident. So they have been behind us 100% and been pushing us and been giving us a lot of behind the scene advice. And then, just my family and friends, my husband's mom, she's been right there, with me as my mom. And she's a very churchy person, and she's been, you know, you wouldn't even think when she's listening to my music that she's a church going person because it just changed her mode, and you know, she's been so supportive. I just, the people that have been there for me have really pushed me to want to go to another level. I don't know, something happened. It probably went out for a minute.
There we go. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So those are the people that that have really been in my corner, and you know, talking to me and telling me that I can definitely do this. And I couldn't ask for anything better, you know.
Absolutely. And so, of course, for the folks out here, tell them where they can go to keep up with your performances, where you're going to be, what you're doing, social media, all that good stuff.
All right. So I have my Melodi Royale business page on Facebook, Instagram, Melodi Royale. And right now I'm also doing a contest. Trying to get my Instagram followers up to 2,000. Once I get to 2,000, I'm gonna pick a winner to, you know, treat them to dinner, get them some free merchandise, and just let people know that I appreciate them, and I really appreciate the love that I've been getting. Like, you know, I know that my career is not gonna go anywhere without fans, without folks being in your corner. So the people that are there, I appreciate them for sure. And you know, go follow me and YouTube. I got a couple of things on YouTube. I'm trying to get to the point where I can do my workouts, put them on there, and even do a couple of meals, healthy meals, and put them on there as well, so you know, folks can check them out. And my Melodi Royale website, definitely check that out. That's where the new song is going to be streaming first, so definitely check that out.
Wonderful. Well, as always, like I say, I am just super proud of you, and you are just phenomenal. Always have been. And so, you know, and so I'm always amazed to see people's growth and just see them blossom into what they were meant to do. And so I feel like your voice is meant to be heard out here. Is long overdue. So y'all just, you know, buckle your seatbelts and get ready, because you'll be hearing Melodi Royale. You'll definitely be hearing her. And so, you got any final words or thoughts you want to share with the listeners out here?
I just want to say that whatever you got going on, just make sure that you put your whole heart into it, because I want to see everybody win. I know I'm out here doing my thing, but you know, I love to see that my classmate is doing her thing, and I want to see more people, you know, coming up, doing their own businesses and living their dreams. So, you know, take a step back, recalibrate, and then push forward. You know, follow your dreams, man. You only got one life to live.
Absolutely, you guys. So make sure you go follow Melodi Royale, you guys, on Facebook, Instagram, all those great places, and you'll find her website down here below, Melodi Royale. Also, and be on the lookout. She'll be, hopefully everything goes well, and if you are in Asheville or traveling, come on up to our Goombay Festival, where she will be performing, you guys. And also be on the lookout for her next single. We'll be anticipating that also as well. So big shout outs to you, and thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. I appreciate it. I do.
You are welcome. And so we are going to hear more from Melodi Royale, you guys. So no worries. And make sure you go follow her and support her. Don't forget to share the show tonight with all of that great stuff. So we're going to get ready to get out of here, you guys. We hope that you have a fantastic rest of your week and all of that great stuff. And so we'll see you back here next week, next Tuesday, at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or right here on the Beautiful Butterfly Show. You guys have a great evening.